Can you translate that a bit? Big-hearted.
Be generous.
Generous is a really good translation. It's generous, but it's also like, it's also like give it your best. Try hard. So it's a little bit like kia kaha, but it's the heart. Okay. Kia manawa nui. Kia ora. What else was I going? Where else was I going with this? So sometimes you get this. Oh, try this with toa. Toa. Kia toa. Kia toa. So that's asking you to be something else here. Toa. Okay. What's that? Well, a toa is a warrior. And if you has an adjective for that, it means someone who's brave. So toa. So it's kia toa, be brave, be bold, kia toa. So Wynn's school, Forestry High School, school motto, kia kaha, kia toa, kia manawa nui. Okay, a bit like you have, those sort of things you aspire to, school motto. You often hear nowadays people say, mo, kia mo, kia mo. So kia mo. Mo. How are you going to spell mo? Mo.
M-A-U.
M-A-U. Kia mo. So we had tone, which is like being connected with something, or it being with us. Mo is a bit more active. Mo is actually like holding on to something. Kia mo. So there's a great song about holding on to your Māori tongue and holding on to this part of your culture, whatever. It's that sort of. So that would be a good one to again put this in this of like kia mau te reo Māori, hold on to your Māori language. Okay. If I wanted to put. So if I wanted to say hold on to da, Māori language, what word would I put here then? Te. Okay, we had it before, kia kaha te reo Māori. If I wanted to say hold on to your Māori language, I would say kia mau tō reo Māori. Because I'm actually identifying it as your Māori language, or the Māori language that you speak. So I might just put that kia mau tō reo Māori. Hold on to your Māori. That's sort of assuming you've got some already, isn't it? Just don't just let it slide. Hold on to it. Kia mau tō reo Māori. So you can see it goes with these verbs. So it goes with action words like verbs like do this. Kia tau may be connected. So that's like a verb, like a doing thing. There's kia. What else do we have it connected with? But then it's also connected with things that are functioning more like adjectives. Be bold, be brave, be good, be healthy. Do you see what I mean? So it can be both go with a verb thing or with an adjective. Now here's the other thing. Māori, the words just float between those things all the time. So the word ora means living or alive, but it also means to live. Okay? So it's like it functions, how we have alive as well as live. We sort of add things to words and change them around in English depending on whether they're often a verb, an adjective, or a noun. So strong becomes strength as a noun, that sort of thing. Which makes it a little bit trickier. Okay, Māori in general, a lot of the time, doesn't change. So when you see kaha, kia kaha, be strong, but remember we have the battleship, te kaha. Well, te is the, isn't it? So it can't be the strong, there must be the strength, or the power, or the might, or the whatever. Okay, te kaha. Okay, so but you just float between those things and set it out. Okay, got it. So you just have to watch out. Thank you. That was more kia tau, kia mau, kia hua ko te pai. Now, that was the be this, do this, but as I said, it's not exactly a command. But there is actually a command here in this, would you believe? Actually, there are two commands in this. You might think, if this is a prayer to God, how would you be giving commands to God? Well, if you pray the Lord's Prayer and you say, give us this day our daily bread, when you're just saying the word give, you're actually doing it as a command, aren't you? You're doing it as an instruction. I mean, you can be polite and say, please give us. Please give me the bread. or give me the bread, please. But when you're saying the word give like that just by itself, it's what we call an imperative. It's just the verb by itself, isn't it? So, in a couple of places, there are imperatives in this, what we call imperatives or commands. Here's one here, and here's one here. Okay. So let's have a look at these. We want God to remember, hear our voices, we entreat. Hear our voices. So this is listen. It's about listening. So we're urging God to listen to our prayer, listen to our song, listen to our plea. And here we're urging God to, or instructing God to, or telling God, whatever, to manaki tia mai. So that remember that's one of those words for looking after manaki. Manaki tia. So let's have a look at these. And so we're going to a slightly different area here. Okay, so rongo, 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 whakarongo, whakarongo. Okay, whakarongo, and I'm using my good Taranaki pronunciation there, saying whakarongo instead of whakarongo, which is my Waikato pronunciation. It's always tricky for me because I did actually do 2 hardcore years of te reo at Te Whare Wānanga Waikato, or is that called here, Te Whare. So, anyway, whakarongo, so, or whakarongo, so it's that sound at the start, okay? Whaka, okay? It's easy to spell, isn't it? You saw it before. A, rongo, R-O-G-O, whakarongo. Okay, so this is part ways of the rongo. Rongo is an interesting word. Rongo is actually one of the departmental gods of Māori. And remember, because in Māori understanding, you think of that worldview with, everything just creation, and so Tangaroa is, you can think of that either as the god of the sea or the personification of the sea. So it goes, as I've said before many times here, especially in view of where I'm coming from as a Christian minister, and it varies with different practice between Christians too, I should say that too. But mostly as a conservative Christian, you'd say, well, if I worship God, I wouldn't be worshipping Māori gods, do you know what I mean? Do you get all those different attitudes to it? But then you do get it used freely by Christians, and you think, what are you doing there? So you might be thinking of it as a spirit or a guardian, or you might be thinking of it as the name that personifies that part of nature, if you like, whatever. The same way as that we have in the past perhaps talk about Mother Nature, So what are you doing there? Are you saying nature's your mother? No, you maybe just saying it's an entity. Anyway, enough said. Rongo is the god of cultivated crops.
Because it's somehow attached to Kumara too, isn't it?
Yeah, well, that's why we cultivated crops. Yeah. So rongo, you can only do rongo when you have peace, of course. You can't have rongo or crops when you are at war. By the way, it's one of the reasons that Māori struggled in fighting the British, because the same guys doing the fighting had to also become that. They didn't have a standing army. So it's sort of like, we get the crop in as well and come back and fight this battle. So rongo. So crops. So it's also then connected with that is to do with concepts like peace. Okay. It's then also to do with concepts like the message. So te rongo pai is the gospel, or if you like, the gospel of peace or the good news. Okay. So whakarongo is to hear the message. Yeah. Which you can do because you're at peace with the person, because if you're arguing with them or fighting them, you probably won't be listening to them. Can you see all the bits of rongo that sort of tie in there together? So, whakarongo, anyway, is listen. Whakarongo. But you'll notice that, so you often in school, the teacher will say, whakarongo, 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 whakarongo. Okay? Of course, you'd just be listening there. Okay? Or even whakarongo mai. Whakarongo mai. So whakarongo mai, or titiro mai, or all those instructions that have mai, or haere mai, no mai. What's the mai part mean?
Towards me.
Towards me. Okay, so this way. Whakarongo mai means listen. We'd say listen here, listen this way. Or titiro mai, not just look, but look this way. So So that makes sense with the Manaaki Tia Mai, doesn't it? See the Manaaki Tia Mai? Manaaki Tia Mai. Yeah, like we want your kia Manaaki Tia Mai. Us, in other words. Okay? This way. This way, God, please. Okay, so whakarongo mai, or just whakarongo. But you didn't say that, did it? It said ata whakarongo na. So I'm just going to put a little thingy here like this. So in this song, the instruction to God to listen to us, hear us, it actually uses this ending. Now, virtually every Māori verb, this is a verb, isn't it? Listen, do something, whakarongo, has potentially an ending like this as well. Okay? And when Māori are giving commands, sometimes you'll see it there, and sometimes you won't. Sorry. So I just heard a teacher that day tell the class, huri here, huri here. Huri is turn, like turn around and face this way. But the here ending is the ending part, because you can just say huri, 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 and you know it means turning. So it's these little endings. But you will have noticed that they're completely random, aren't they? Because, what was the other one? Manaaki Tia? Manaaki. Give it a little space so I can write things in between. Manaaki Tia. Tia, isn't it? And that had a mai as well. So what we're saying is whakarongo is an instruction. Listen. It says manaaki. Manaaki mai. But also, they could be in this form with these endings. So these endings, like na and tia. So what happens is you just see verbs, and then sometimes you see them with these endings, and you think, oh, that's the ending that goes with that verb. Sometimes, okay? I'll also use them. It'll also be used when the verb is being used in what we call a passive voice. Passive means where something is being done by someone else, which is, when we say an when we say the road was sealed, we're not specific. The important thing is that the road was sealed, not who did it. So that when we say was sealed, we're not saying the men sealed the road or the workers sealed the road. We're saying the road was sealed. That's what happened to the road. It was sealed. Okay, so when you have that idea in Māori, also use these endings. Okay, but we'll get to that when we come to it. Okay. So that's a little bit random, eh? Why could it just not be the same all the time? Because English is so regular and it doesn't have any exceptions. Yeah. Okay. Whakarongo. Whakarongo. Manaaki. Manaaki. Whakarongo na. Whakarongo na. Manaaki Tia. Manaaki Tia. Whakarongo mai. Whakarongo mai. Okay. So here's another one. Titiro. 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 So titiro. Titiro. Isn't telling someone to look. One of the things you come across a lot in all sorts of different Māori words is this little thing here. Can you see what's going on here? A little doubling up of a syllable. Yeah. This happens quite a lot. Like puritia is like to hold on, but pupuri is another variation of puri. So there's and it's sort of like has a sort of strengthening of it or an emphasizing of it, but titiro. In other words, the basic part of seeing is tiro, but titiro is like, like just look hard, really pay attention. Okay? Because when it goes to has an ending, it goes to this. Tiro here. So not just does it have an ending, the here, like the na and the tia, but it drops that first syllable, tiro here. But you almost never hear that. I've never heard that used in instruction. Okay? Titiro is always has, and it's, you choose the language what has the impact. In English, Māori, whatever it is. Titiro, Titiro mai. Titiro mai. Good, yeah. So now I'm getting to my teacher the other day who gave that instruction. Hoodie here. Hoodie here. Hoodie here. So she was telling him to, so this is more understanding, because these are commands, so these are not things you actually have to say back to anybody, are they? These are just things you have to know what they are. Yeah? So sometimes the language is what you have to say, like kia ora, oh. So not just do I have to hear that kia ora means hello or how are you, or you know, I wish you well. It's helpful if I can say kia ora back, right? So with wakarongo and titiro and hoodie here, actually it's more important that I know what I'm meant to do when someone else says that. Okay, so hoodie is like this, and here is the ending, hoodie here. And that was just used the other day. Sometimes there's even more than one variation on what the ending is. So you just get these independent. So let's just write some meanings up here. All sorts of stuff. It was heart big, wasn't it? That was brave. That was hold on to. Or grasp almost, no. And then this is, what is this? Listen. And this is, yeah, look after, care for. This is look. And this is turn, as in turn around. Okay. Cool. So, here's an example to show you a lot of these things happening at the same time. Tuhi. 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 Tuhia. Tuhia. Ki te rangi. Ki te rangi. Tuhia ki te rangi. Tuhia ki te rangi. You know the song, don't you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah,
I do.
It's a song.
I was singing that.
Okay. Wakey, Maria, this part is especially for you. Okay. So what words did I just say? So you know what tuhia means, don't you? It means the sky. What are you doing on the sky?
Yeah. I guess.
Tuhia ki te rangi. Yes, so what are you doing on the sky? We are writing, yeah. So tuhia ki te rangi. Write on the sky. Like write it in big letters on the sky.
Yeah.
Okay, tuhia ki te rangi. So and then tuhia ki te whenua, yeah? Tuhia ki te rangi, tuhia ki te whenua.
Yeah.
Tuhia ki te ngākau. Ngākau. Ah, yeah, okay. Ooh, this is interesting, isn't it? Another word for heart again.
Yeah.
Did you hear what I was saying before about more words on things you want to express more of? It's interesting, isn't it? Ooh, yeah. So, ngākau o ngā tangata katoa. Okay, so I'm going to go a new board for that because there's a whole lot of stuff in this. So I'm just going to teach you those lines, okay? So we had the word tuhia, tuhi, which is to write. And then we had the word tuhi. So like I said, when you repeat something, it sort of emphasizes it. Sometimes it also means that go on, it becomes a continuous action. So tuhi, and I've got a feeling it's related to the word tui, which is weaving. Because if you think about it, in Māori, before they had writing, they had the weaving. You know, when you're writing, it's a weaving action. You're weaving letters. But the movement of it is similar. So with a needle, isn't it? Or however you do tui. Okay, tui. So tui. You know, you keep on going. And then we had this phrase. So the song goes like this. Tuia ki te rangi. Okay, so let's try it. Tuia ki te rangi. Tuia ki te rangi. So tuia ki te rangi. Ki te rangi. Mm-hmm. Whenua. 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 Whenua, which is, of course, the Taranaki way of saying whenua, which you'd hear all the time, wouldn't you? Whenua. 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 Tuia ki te whenua. Tuia ki te whenua. Tuia ki te whenua. Which is a bit like the phrase heaven and earth, isn't it? Yeah, does that make sense? Sky and land, heaven and earth. Okay, so this really gets interesting because then Māori has two words for land, as in the land we're standing on. So whenua is the land, and papa is also like the land area where we are, papa. So why would you have two words? Whenua emphasises what? This is my whenua. Ko Taranaki talk of whenua. Yeah, so it's land as in that you as people have a connection to, right? Why does it have a connection to you? Because your whenua is there. What is your whenua? It's your afterbirth. It's a womb. Oh, there's deep stuff now, aren't we? We're now Mother Earth. Can you see the world? There's some big connections here, aren't there? Mother Earth. Whenua is womb. Pretty straight out there, isn't it? And whenua then, and that's the afterbirth, which is the womb after the baby's been born. And then that whenua is buried in the land, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's the custom. You see all those connections? So there's a bit of you that's actually in that whenua. And it's your whenua that's in the whenua. Okay? Which makes losing land or being ending up in a different part of the land a little bit more of an issue. Yeah? In terms of. Yeah. Okay, so whenua. Whereas papa is more like the, papa rangi. Rangi is what? Sky. Okay, so it also can mean also a day, but because our, or heaven. Okay, so rangi, but where does the word come from? It's the sky god, isn't it? So then we talked to, so rangi nui is the sky father. Sky father, earth mother. So rangi, so then that word rangi becomes the name of that sky father, but then also just the name of the sky. You see what I mean? So when you write it with a small r, you just mean the sky and the day or whatever, the sky, yeah. Okay, or maybe heaven. Papa is the land as opposed to the sky, as in the flat bit. Papa especially means a flat surface. Papa tuanuku is the earth mother. So that whole creation myth thing about, Tane, and separating the sky and the children are held between the sky and the earth, and I think it's Tane because he's the tree, separates the parents. Just grow my tree, we'll have room to breathe and room to develop and become the human race, okay? So, and then that's the tears falling, of course, from the sky because of the parents being separated. It's a very dysfunctional family story, isn't it? Just saying. Okay, so that's papa. But this is whenua in terms of like what people are connected to. Whenua, okay? Tuia ki te rangi, tuia ki te whenua, tuia ki te ngākau. Ngākau. Ngākau, ngākau, ngākau. So not ngākau, but ngā, sound. Ngākau, ngākau. Okay. Tuia ki te ngākau. And by the way, when you see these in names, of course, it means land. You like Horowhenua, right? Or the airport, wasn't it? Whenua Pai. Yeah? Which would actually be whenua pai, not whenua pai, but because Horowhenua, Horowhenua, yeah? So it's whenua, not whenua, right? Putting the emphasis in a different part of the word is actually a really good way to lose a speaker of that language, actually make yourself incomprehensible. You think, people still understand me if I don't quite say the R-I-T or the O. They'll actually lose you more with putting the emphasis in the wrong place. And you can hear that's like, that's a weird word. What's that word, Paul? And you're thinking, oh, I can see what he's done there, you know. So, yeah. So, whenua instead of whenua is more of a problem. Oh, all right. Whenua. Yeah. Has a completely different sound, doesn't it? With a different rhythm. Yeah? Rhythm of the song is more important than what note you sing. Just saying. In time, it's good. Tuia ki te ngākau. Okay, so this is in the song it's saying so right. So but this is my point about this. This is a command, isn't it? Yeah. This is the tuhi a.
Yeah.
This is the ending on the tuhi. So this is writing. So it's a command. So it's telling. The song has encouraged people by their words, as it were, to write on the sky, or write literally to the sky. But Māori is a bit limited in its prepositions on, at, by, with, you know, those sort of ones. So ki gets used a lot. We wouldn't necessarily use ki in English. We would say write. We wouldn't say write to the sky, would we? In other words, put your writing onto the sky. Trying to reason that out. Tuia ki te rangi, tuia ki te whenua, tuia ki te ngākau. So write on the sky, write on the land. You know, in other words, write it in a heavenly way, write it in an earthly way, write it in a personal way. Tuia ki te ngākau, write it in the hearts of people. This message, the message of the rest of the song is about the same. Okay? Does it make sense? Isn't that beautifully poetic?
Yeah.
It's so straight down the middle, isn't it? Māori oratory, isn't it? Like kōrero. What's also very typical of Māori is this. See this? Hara mai, hara mai, hara mai. That, and it's not, and it's the threefold, which, by the way, in many cultures means is a way of saying something is completely done. When you do something 3 times in Hebrew culture, that means it's emphatic. And Peter denies Jesus 3 times. That's the whole point of that. Is that that's it. That's a big cut-off. That's it. You're done, mate. You're done. It's signed and sealed. If you've said it 3 times. That was their tradition also about divorce. I divorce you, I divorce you, I divorce you. That's how a man got a divorce. That's bizarre. That's bizarre, but true, unfortunately. But so it's used in cultures, you know, for this rhythm, but also to make something emphatic. Put the emphasis in the right place to make it emphatic. Just saying. Okay, so tuia ki te rangi, ku tia ki te whenua, ku te ngākau. And you notice, of course, what you're doing is you're doing all the dimensions of it too, aren't you? You go, you know, and you're expanding the concept, but you're also getting the rhythm. Anyway, tuia ki te ngākau o ngā tangata katoa. Tangata, 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 tangata. Tangata, tangata. So that's obviously this, isn't it? Tangata. You've seen that word probably quite a bit, tangata. And this one, tangata. Okay, tangata, tangata. Kia ora. Daniel, explain to us the difference. No pressure. We'll edit this out if you can't get the answer.
That's all right. I think one is person, one is people.
Yeah, well done. So all. So, what should I put here then?
Say tāngata.
Tāngata. Yeah. So this is a major source of error going from Pākehā to Māori, because obviously something we don't have in English, right? This whole macron thing, and we don't even say vowel sounds properly anyway. So here's another great example of this. Right. And nearly all these ones are to do with people. Here's another example of it. Okay, so wahine, you know what a wahine is, don't you? Mm-hmm. But wahine are women. women's, females. Okay, atua. Atua is a god, so it can be a god, or if you want to say the one and only god, you say te atua, the god. You can see how you have to sort of do some interesting little adopting of ideas from another culture in that little phrase, don't you? Te atua. Because this is coming into a language and culture that there wasn't a concept of te atua, it was atua or atua, spiritual beings. So it's actually not so much, yes, it's God, because we use it like that, but it's actually like spiritual beings. Does that make sense? So it's, God is a spiritual being. So, because, yeah, that's how you function. Here's another one. And you hear this misused all the time. Or, you know, I want to be called Matua Paul, and people say, oh, Matua Paul. No, not Matua Paul. There's only one, I think. Matua Paul, okay? But can you hear that matua is like that, that short sound. It's quite foreign to us in English, especially New Zealand English. Let's sort of try all these. Tangata. Tangata. Wahine. Wahine. Atua.
Atua.
Matua.
Matua.
Tangata. Tangata. Wahine.
Wahine.
Atua.
Atua.
Matua.
Matua.
But we just naturally say matua when we see this, don't we?
Say the
Matua.
ones, matua.
Matua. Kia matua. Kia matua. I like that. Matua. Okay. So, now tangata. So we're saying, right, with our little, with our little thing ending here on the word, right, Te ki te rangi, sky, land, or earth is probably better here. And that, of course, sky can be heaven. Te ki te ngākau, heart. So what is the difference between manawa and ngākau? Now we're tricky because he said we've had two words say for heart, haven't we? We've had 2 or 3 words for look after, atawhai, manaki, Give me a break. So ngākau. I'm hard put to describe the difference. So manawa is sort of the part of the heart that then goes to the area of strength. Because remember I use it, kia kaha, kia toa, kia manawa nui, generosity. This ngākau is almost more concentrating on the depth of feeling. Does that make sense? That sort of heart. Not that manawa doesn't have depth of feeling, but this is sort of more getting to the centre of your being, maybe. Ki te ngākau. Does that make sense? Which is how we like to use the word heart. Of course, different languages have different ideas of where the centre of your being is. In some languages, it's your kidneys. In some languages, it's your stomach. Out of your innermost being, living waters will flow. It's out of your belly.
Yeah.
So that depends on your language and what how you are thinking of that. There you go, heart. So this is the people. That's Daniel, and this is now katoa is all. So that's why you get that tēnā koutou katoa. Tēnā koutou katoa. Greetings to all of you. Whew. Let's just say those words together. Tuia ki te rangi. Tuia ki te rangi. Tuia ki te whenua. Tuia ki te whenua. Tuia ki te ngākau. Tuia ki te ngākau. O ngā tāngata katoa. O ngā tāngata katoa. And I should actually write what the thing is. So this is the last bit of the song. Ko te mea nui, ko te mea nui, ko te aroha, ko te aroha. The thing big, the love. The big thing, the important thing is love. Which is an interesting variation on the important thing is people. Because that's a Māori phrase, isn't it? How te mea nui o te ao, he tangata, he tangata, he tangata. You hear that phrase used a lot. But, you know, if I'm speaking, I will tend not to use that for two reasons. One, I'm a Christian minister, so I might say the most important thing is actually God, not people. But to try and get the connection with that saying, I might say, called the aroha. You know, like, in other words, all very well saying people's the main thing, but it's how you treat people. That you actually treat them as human, which is aroha. Does that make sense? So that's my take on that. But that's just an example of how you actually are allowed to do your own take on things in life. You don't, people like to think, oh, I sort of just have to conform. Yes, you learn things, but then you also adapt them. So someone saying, you were saying, there was someone was doing a pekaha, and you went, oh, what happened to, you know, ko pātea te awa, ko, you know, ko arakamu, te non kāinga, you know, and you thought, they've done a whole lot of different stuff, but then you recognised ko something tōku ingoa. And you thought, okay. So that's because you vary. And you think, what works for me or what is how I want to say. So you sort of use and adapt. And okay, come on.